I just faded it in. So welcome everyone to
okay, we're starting.
the Michael and Ellis podcast. Survivor. Ooh, I just banged my desk. Survivor season 48, episode 9. We have Nina calling in from the Bahamas. Or wait. No, Nina, you're at Fiji.
Yeah, I'm filming Survivor 49 right now.
Nina was cast.
Survivor 49 actually did just start filming on last week, I think, on 420. So
that's why Nina is there.
Storyline.
This Bahamas act is not holding up with us, Nina. We know the truth.
Yeah. Well, Nina pleads the fifth. And yeah. No, Nina, thank you for taking your time out of your special vacay to hop on the podcast. Oh.
Yeah.
Could you?
I'm glad I could. What's up?
No, sorry. I wasn't sure if you could hear. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Perfectly.
Never mind. Yes. All right.
So, Nina,
Are we recording right now? This is all on the
Yes,
podcast.
yes, we've started. Yes.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're
Wait, let's
good.
talk about Survivor.
Yes, let's. Survivor. We left off. David was. I mean, I was gonna say blindsided, but I feel like he kind of saw the writing on the wall. The Integrity Alliance has crumbled. The not so loyal, not so integrity alliance.
Yeah, what happened to Joe's word that he's so emphatic about?
I mean,
He's such a big baby.
Wait, I'm gonna.
So, Nina, I'm curious, as a fellow David Haver,
Yes.
I want to know what your pain has been, or joy. I'm sorry, I'm projecting. On like his arc throughout the season, and like what your final thoughts on kind of David are now that he's out and we've seen like his arc in full.
Yeah. So, I actually really liked David when he first was on the show. I thought he was really cool. I liked that he was a stunt man. I thought that was super unique, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's gonna run through the challenges. He's gonna do great."
He was
And
the
then
rom-com
he started
guy.
sharing more. Yeah, exactly. And then he started sharing more about his personal life, and I don't know. He said his girlfriend. He lives in a trailer, which like respect. He's supporting himself, but then like he said his girlfriend dumped him, and he was trying to get back his girlfriend from being on Survivor, which I was just like, oh, come on, that's so pathetic.
It's a romance story for the ages.
Yeah, and then I don't know, like he seemed so cool at first, and then his like true colors started coming out, like when he lost the challenge and was like, I should have won that. It's like, oh, don't do that. So it was a pretty tragic downfall. I went from really liking him to like the show like kind of villainized him too, I would say. They did not make him look good.
Did you watch his exit interview? Like after the episode ends, you stay tuned for the next time on, and then there's also like the little like final confessional. I don't know if not everyone listens to those.
Do you want to remind me of? I did watch it, but I don't remember.
Yeah, well, no, because what you're saying, I feel like exactly like in his final confessional, he kind of was like, he talked about how like, yeah, I think I don't remember exactly what he said, but he talked about how like people are human basically, and in one moment they can be like this amazing hero, and then in the next moment they can be this huge villain, and I think the Survivor editors and the producers, Jeff, whoever, they saw that like little snippet that he gave as his like final confessional, and they kind of used that as his whole story arc basically, where like the first few episodes, like you said, he's shown as this like amazing guy, like super likable, and then and then you know, he kind of has this fall from grace. Sorry, someone must have been taking. There's some Instagram photos being taken in the background. That
no, it's someone's getting married.
Those are Nina's models that she's hired.
Not David, that's for sure.
They're part of her like harem that Nina has.
Yes, Ellis, I would agree with you. I think he's right about that. He did. I mean, like when you watch Survivor, these people are like human beings. I remember you saying a while ago that sometimes they'll edit people to appear differently than how they are in the show. So
Absolutely.
Like they'll either like so like sometimes they just get villainized.
Which is really tragic.
Well, I mean, and you know, coming up on Survivor 50, we're going to see some returning players, some people that you may recognize, and a lot of them may seem like completely different people on this new season because they are reducing them to a character that fits this, like, that one season, that specific season. But like David, you kind of get an example of like two different Davids, which is also like, especially in the second half. I mean, these last few episodes, people were like, David's paranoid, like he's just a wild cannon, but like he's fully committed to this strong five, you know? He's not like targeting Kyle, he's not targeting Shaheen, and he's like going to Joe and he's like, dude, I'm telling you, something's off. And Kyle and Joe and Shaheen are like telling Joe, they're like, yeah, every time we walk off together, David's trying to like paint us as like we're strategizing or we're like plotting to like get David out. Like he's being super paranoid. But that's exactly what they were like. David was like completely reading the room, but the show showed it like he was this paranoid person that like doesn't know what's going on. So like you know, he's not being shown in like the most, he's not getting that hero's like earlier on when Charity was like, oh my god, I love David, and then the next confessional David's like, I do not trust her at all. Like that was when he was still in his hero edit where he was totally on the pulse. And then he's still on the pulse, but he's in his villain edit now, and he's seen as like this bumbling buffoon, which I think he was a little bit of a, you know, not really maybe thinking about how his game appeals to someone like Camilla. But, you know, there's flaws.
That's something I will say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I will say, like, you bring up his core five. I did like that. Like, yeah, I would have liked to see David go further, but I thought it's kind of cool when they betray each other on Survivor. It's like, oh wow, this is really picking up, and it's really thrilling, and like, it really puts into perspective. Like when you're on the show, you really have no idea what's happening. Like you don't know, you don't know who's like it's like you said, it's a kind of a catch-22 because David's super paranoid, and then they vote him out for like he's acting weird, like he's kind of freaking out, but then it's like sorry
no continues,
but then it's like, how paranoid really was he? Because like he got voted out, so they must have not liked him to an extent.
He just tweeted the definition of paranoia like right after that episode, and it's like paranoia like acting like based on like not valid like he's like, y'all need to check what like your definition of paranoia is, because I was completely yeah, Michael.
But here's also the thing. You know, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, yes, David might have had like an inkling of like truth, but I think his paranoia and him kind of blowing that up constantly made people just like annoyed, and people were like, okay, like every time he was just saying the wrong things to the wrong people. Like he was talking to Joe and he was like, Joe, you went back on your word, and then Joe threw a fit. And like, it's like, that's not winning people over. You know, it was kind of like, yes, he might have been like rightfully paranoid, but it's also going about it in the wrong way. And I think also the fact that when they had like that strong five and he just like declares that like Mary is now a part of it. I think also like lowered his credibility because he's like, no, we're the strong six now, you guys. We've always been the strong six, and everyone's
I
like,
mean, they were still calling it
it's-
the strong five. Like I was kind of confused by that.
yeah, no. So because I think no one was on board with Mary being a part of the alliance besides David and like maybe Eva, and everyone else was just like, okay. So I think that just lowered his credibility.
What were you gonna say, Nina?
On a little bit of a sidebar, I will say I saw this tweet that I think I really agree with, and it was a good one.
Sorry. I don't mean to distract.
I saw this tweet that was like, Mary's not as fun without Say being there, and I think I kind of agree with it. Like, not that, like, I like her, but it was like, oh, well, now she doesn't have her arch nemesis. It's like, she's just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
Well, she's been getting like 0 confessionals in multiple episodes, so she's kind of been a bit invisible, and it's like, what the hell? What's going on?
Yeah, that's another thing. There's a lot of players where I feel like they kind of wish I got to see a little more of everyone, and I totally understand they're like diverting the cameras to where the action's happening, and like, oh, David got out, so we want to show like his alliance doing that. But I think it's going to leave room for some like big players later on to come out of the woodwork, and you're like, oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. No, I think a lot of like Survivor fans complain like they want an even edit. And when they see people like Star or Mitch or Mary getting 0 confessionals or Chrissy, it's like, what are they doing? But I don't know. I feel like I'm becoming a lot more open to the idea of like if Star is the winner, like some people are like, I was talking to someone at work. They were like, I'm rooting for a Star, Mitch, Mary finale, like final 3. She's like, I think that would be the ultimate like out of nowhere finale, which I think would be so fun. But I've also heard on like podcasts online of people being like, you know, these players, like, we haven't seen anything from them, and if they make it to if that would be the final 3, that would be like the most like unsatisfying ending. There'd be no payoff because they're building up all these other characters. But I also feel like we still have plenty of time to build up these other, like you said, when David goes home, this is going to create a lot of room for like characters to, you know, kind of fill that entertainment power vacuum.
Totally agreed.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Michael, I know you've been really annoyed about the majority alliance kind of dominating until now.
Last episode it was so irritating because it's like we spent what, like a fucking 30 minutes just on the same 4 people having the same conversations. Like if you had to take a shot every time Joe had a one-on-one with someone, you'd be like dead by the end of the episode. Like it was just kind of ridiculous, and I'm like, we haven't seen anything from Star. Mitch's name is being thrown out and we barely see anything from Mitch. Like you only see one thing from Star of her being like, let's target Shaheen, and then they're like, no, and then that's basically it. Mary is just like, I don't know, with David, I guess. And I do get the whole thing of like people reading into the edit and it becoming like predictable because it's like, oh, this person's given consistent amount of screen time, like they have a fully fledged story, like they're probably gonna win. And I get like that being annoying, but I think you need to find like that balance where if you're in a situation where, you know, you don't know much about like if it is a Star, Mary, Mitch final 3, like in that case I would only want Mitch to win, not because I dislike Star or Mary, but it's because Mary had like this huge thing in the beginning and is now like nothing. And Star just has consistently never gotten like really much screen time, and you don't even really know anything about like Star or her personal life. Like I know nothing about like anything about like her life, and so I think it's just like, and like her game either. Like all I know is that she found a like Beware advantage, could not figure it out for the life of her, and did not get a vote again until like way later when like Eva cracked it, and then she gave her idol to Eva, and that was kind of it. Like that's kind of seems to be where it ended. Yeah, I know like everything about like Joe and Kyle and even like Camilla and Eva. Like I know so much more about them. So it's kind of like this thing where it's like I don't know. The only example I can use is like from season 46 when like Kenzie won. And it was like I don't know. It felt unsatisfying to me.
Right.
But that was just me and my perspective. Like I know Survivor is not catered towards me.
Well,
so no.
I think a lot of it depends on once you like it's like you can't make an opinion until you've seen the full thing and you like you just have it's like whether you're satisfied by the end or not. Like as it stands now, a final three of Star, Mitch, and Mary I don't think would be satisfying. It would be very dependent on what we see in the next few episodes. We would have to see much more of Star and much more of Mary and Mitch. And at the same time, like I can understand with your thing with Kenzie, like you and me were like so pissed when she was like kind of like just running circles around Jessica and Banu, and like it felt like
she was
like
so
bullying.
mean.
Yeah. And they tried to redeem her, but yeah, this
is Kenzie.
Yeah, from
over
46.
Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. It was not nice, but part of it is like these people need to, have a spine and like try and defend themselves in this game. They just bulldozed over like all these people. It's like are you playing Survivor?
Nina is pro bullying.
All right.
Well, no,
Nina's oh my god, let's all bully this girl with anxiety. Get her. Jess is just there like eating ants. They're like, you're ugly and gross. She's just eating ants.
I do think.
Would you say anyone?
Or yeah. No, what were you gonna ask?
I was just gonna say, do you guys think there's someone on this season that's like unnecessarily mean or a little nicer?
I don't know if we've seen anything of that.
I think everyone's pretty nice. I think this season.
I think everyone's pretty like no one's like malicious. I would say like there's
and I don't
not
think
many
anyone's ever really malicious. They might just be pushing the game mechanics or like planting a fake idol and then having them look for it. That's pushing the game to its limits of what's acceptable.
I will say this season I feel like they really want to have some kind of antagonist, but they're like struggling to really find it. And they've been just like hopping from person to person. Like I feel like Say was a big one for like an overarching time, and there was Thomas for a little bit, but he went home.
Charity.
There was Charity for a little bit, but she went home, and then David they turned into a villain, and then he went home. So I feel like now that we're at this like final 8, we're definitely gonna see someone become a lot more of a villain. Like I think they're gonna villainize one of them. I imagine it's gonna be Mary. I think that's where it's headed. Like I think they're gonna villainize Mary a lot. Because it's like, they can't villainize Joe because his whole thing is like, integrity, whatever. I'll never vote you out, Eva. Here's $1 million. And then Eva's whole thing is like, I'm friends with everyone. And if you're not with me, then I'm going to vote you out. And I just like my alliance. And so it really, I do think it is Mary. Because even on the next time on, it shows her gathering like, the basically the outcasts of like Mitch, Star, and
Camilla.
Oh, who was the other one? Camilla, and all of the 4 of them being like, okay, so we're like the other 4 basically, and we need to like do something like right now. Because like Mary's decided that now that like her boy toy David is gone, she's like, I have to start playing the game, I guess.
I don't yeah. Sorry.
I was just gonna agree with Michael. I can totally see them picking Mary to be the like the next step in like villainized edit that they're gonna do. Just because she has more like drive. I feel like the way she talks about other players isn't like, wow, I'm so happy to be here and have a good time. She's very like, I hate this person, I want her out.
It was funny when Kyle was like, they get back from the immunity challenge, and he was like, yeah, Mary and David, well, I'm not gonna say that. Or he's like, they look like very close friends. Which I love.
Yeah.
I love that we got a confessional where someone was like, oh, well, I can't say that, but like, sharing their true feelings. But I guess, yeah, I don't know. I guess Mary could be okay. How does this lead with your guys's? If we want to start to, we've passed the 20-minute mark. If we want to start get to more like predictions. If Mary is like your next main antagonist, right? I would assume that means she lasts like at least a couple more episodes, unless you think she's having a crazy, next episode is the like one-off Mary villain burnout episode. Like, I don't know. I think the season's done a good job of building up this majority alliance and watching it crumble. And now I think we're gonna see a very like hopefully rewarding, like in the next time on, Star was like, we're forming a revolution, which is probably a telltale sign that like Star is going home. But I don't know.
Not
what do you guys
think? I guess. Okay, so really quick, I actually really like Star, and I wish they showed Star more, because every time like they're on screen, I am very entertained. So yeah, to say we're gonna revolutionize this, I don't know if that's, or what, is that the word you used?
Yeah,
like,
there's like a, yeah.
We're gonna start a revolution, you guys. The strong people are going home.
I don't know if that's quite what's gonna happen, but
I mean, it could easily happen.
That would be really cool. Yeah, it depends on the challenge, which, like, if it's something that I guess like is more catered towards like the everyman and not like a strength thing, I could see it happening, and that would be really cool. I think that's always fun. It's like when the underdogs come up.
Well, we have Joe, Eva, and then Shaheen, and then Kyle and Camilla are kind of those next two, and I guess Mary, Shaheen, Joe, and Eva are like the remnants of the strong alliance. Then we have Kyle and Camilla in the middle, and then Star and Mitch kind of on the outskirts. And Mary could kind of maybe jump in with Star and Mitch as like the underdogs. So it's like, I think Kyle and Camilla are still kind of in this middle though, of whether they want to continue this strong alliance or, completely flip the script. But it's going to be hard because Joe could easily win immunity again. And Eva has two, like, she has an immunity idol and a safety without power, which is essentially just an immunity idol. You just dip out of tribal. You don't get to vote, but you're immune. So that's a crazy amount of fire, like a challenge threat to always win immunity, and somebody who has multiple like ways to protect themselves. So as a duo, they could really run the rest of this game.
Yeah, I'm not an Eva fan.
I'm not a huge Eva fan. She has been growing on me more than in the beginning. But I do think that, I mean, hey, she must be playing like I think she's playing an amazing game. She's like being very open and honest, and she's using that to kind of like propel her forward. And she's been in a situation where she has every reason to be targeted and has not been targeted once. Like, I don't even know if maybe it's the editing, but they haven't even showed her name come up like once. No one's even like considered. And they all know she has an idol, and still no one cares. They're all just like, whatever, let's just let her win. Like, so I do think that she's playing like a good game, but this duo of like her and Joe, I'm like, okay, I think like their relationship and their friendship is really sweet, but I'm putting myself in the position of Joe's wife, where Joe's like, sorry, honey, I didn't win the $1 million because this like autistic woman I met 2 weeks ago, I decided to give it to. And I'd be like, are you shitting me? Are you, what do you mean you were just like, your hand? Because he's like, I'm never voting her off. I'd rather leave than be. And I'm like, that's a bit dramatic. Like,
no,
yeah.
I totally agree with that, and I wonder if like almost similarly to the audience. Like, again, I agree with you. I think the relationship between her and Joe is very sweet, and I think it's very special in a way that like they showcased the trials and tribulations that Eva has to go through to do a show like Survivor. That's really cool that it's a show that does that. But I'm wondering if these people on the island are like, oh my god, this relationship's so wholesome, and they're like blindsided by the fact that Eva's this like huge threat, and like no one wants to take a shot at her.
Well, I think the problem is that they are, yeah, it is such like an amazing connection, or like a this like part, like this duo, and I think people are afraid to be the one to like be the like to really like spearhead it, and because they feel like if like word gets back to Joe and Eva, they're like, who's saying this? Whoever's name is the response to that is gonna get a lot of like, fallout from it. So I think people are afraid of being that person. But also it's reminding me of one of Joe's confessionals at the beginning of the season, where, I think it's when he learns about that Eva has autism, is that he's like basically saying that he like is willing to fall on his sword for her. So I guess that's going to be my prediction of the episode. Is maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself, because Eva still has all these advantages that she can use to protect Joe and herself if worse comes to worse. But I'm gonna say Joe's going home this next episode. Don't know how it's gonna happen.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be some crazy wool over Eva's eyes. She's gonna get blindsided, and I think maybe Kyle wins immunity, or someone, maybe Camilla or someone with a puzzle like can pull it out over Joe. But yeah,
it's an interesting prediction.
That is my. It's kind of it's out there. I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to be entertaining.
Yeah, I like it. I appreciate that.
So, I guess, do you guys think if it did come down to it, do you really think Joe would like self-sacrifice for Eva?
That's an amazing question. Like, would his like bite, would the bite match the bark, or whatever the fucking saying is? Like, I don't know. Like that's what I'm thinking. Like, imagine like they blindside Eva, and then Joe's like, wait, I quit.
Like, Jeff, take me instead.
Like, yeah, that's what I'm just like. But I do think that it would be really interesting to see what Eva's gameplay is like without Joe. And I think Joe leaving makes the game a lot more open and flowing. Because he's kind of, especially last episode, was shown to be kind of like the center of everything. Like everyone talks to him. He doesn't even have to like get out of a chair anymore.
Literally,
he just sits in a
people just come to him,
and they all come up to him.
Which, I mean, I think Joe's playing an amazing game. I think he'd be like a really cool winner, just because I think it's such a like quiet, like dominant game. And maybe David being there kind of helped, because it took all of the like eyes off of him. But yeah, I don't know. We just hit the 30-minute mark, so like looking to maybe start to wrap things up. But like, Nina, overall, would you say, are you enjoying this season compared to maybe the last two?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Can I just think about my answer real quick?
Sure. Michael, do you have like a prediction that you want to give if you're ready?
Yeah, I was thinking that, this is like, not to toot my own horn, but I've been kind of on the ball with the last couple predictions, which I think I'm starting to get the hang of this season, because at the beginning I predicted everything wrong all the time.
Uh-oh. Michael's having the classic, I think I know everything that's going on confessional.
No, but this time I genuinely have no idea what's gonna happen. I have no idea who's going to go home next. I think the most entertaining boot would be Joe. And I do kind of like hope that it is. Not only for like the entertainment, but also to like fuck Tim's team over a little bit. That'd
Tim
be
has
great.
run away with it. Like
Yeah.
Tim, I'm getting ready to just hand you
He's on
the
Tim's
title already. Kyle, Joe, Say.
Yeah, that's yeah.
It's a tough pill to
Wow.
swallow. No, but I do genuinely don't know. The people who I think are safest and who I would be very shocked if they went home are Kyle and Camilla. Like those are the only two people who I couldn't see going home next episode. But like everyone else seems like fair. Well, and Eva. I don't think Eva is going home. But everyone else seems like fair game in my eyes, kind of. Like my original thought was maybe like Shaheen, just because his name keeps getting thrown around and people seem to like not care. It just seems like Shaheen doesn't have like anyone that he's like super super close to, you know. Like I feel like, and he's considered one of the strong guys, so I feel like that could be used against him later, and he's like a person who could be thrown under the bus.
Yeah, I mean, like Shaheen was voted for like 2 episodes in a row, but then this final episode, Mitch was the one receiving votes instead of Shaheen. So it did make me think. I was like, maybe Shaheen is able to kind of slip back under the radar, but you know, I think you could also be right that he's public enemy number 1.
Shaheen's the coolest. He gives lone wolf vibes, and I'll circle back to answering if I like this season and
okay.
what I like about this season. And
Let her cook.
I figured out my answer is I actually really like the people a lot more than last season. Like, I think the cast is like people like Say. I think it's awesome when there's someone like that to kind of rile everyone up. I don't like when everyone's like that, and I think it just kind of did a really good job of like balancing a bunch of different personalities with the casting. I thought like I don't know, it was.
I think
really
that's
like
a good
the people
point.
this season. And like I don't. That's not to say. I mean, I guess I can speak about the. Okay, so like the Beware advantages. Here's my like thoughts about them. I think they are so cool. The puzzles are awesome, but the caveat with them is I thought that animal puzzle with Star having to put the thing up to the animals was actually like really cool. But the caveat to that is they are also really hard. So you kind of have to tell people you have it to help you. And I guess I would like to see. I guess like it's too much for me to ask them to like dumb down the puzzles, but I do think it'd be cool if like I know if I were on Survivor, I'd need help. I'd need help with those puzzles. I can't do them alone. And
you'd pull a Star. You'd be like, okay, everyone, I have it. Help me.
Like kind of. Oh my god, I would not give my idol away like Star did. I think that's ridiculous. But I wouldn't like. You know, it's just you kind of have to tell people.
Right. There's no way to get it in secrecy.
Game dynamic. Yeah, exactly. So I guess like, and last season I didn't love that, but I'm not minding it this season as much because I think I like the people a lot more. So watching them, like it's fun watching everyone and Shaheen like try and figure out this puzzle. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like a season like this where the cast, you know, kind of approach to the game is a much more loyal game. I think having advantages be much more public is much more interesting. But for a season like 47, where it's extremely strategy heavy, I think having the, you know, and this wasn't the case for 47, but having the advantages be secretive, it can be much more interesting. But well, I don't know. At the same time, like Rachel had that one idol and no one knew about it. And it was kind of like ruining the season almost because it's like Rachel's just going to steamroll because she has an idol that no one knows about, you know, where, I guess if there's strategic players, a secret advantage has like even more power where like a season like this, it might not be as detrimental. I don't. Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know.
this might be a hot take, but I feel like sometimes I kind of wish I didn't know who had certain idols. I think that would make things a lot more interesting. It's like, oh shit. Because then you're in the position of the contestants where it's like, you're so certain this person's going home, and then boom, idol. And then it's like, oh shit.
Let's make the viewers paranoid.
Exactly. I know it might be a hot take.
Yeah.
But it would just make every tribal more interesting because it's like you don't know who has what. And, you know, it's like even the votes where it seems obvious, you'd still have that tension because it's like, what if they have something?
Right.
Where
there's a bit of mystery.
It's kind of predictable. Yeah. It can be kind of predictable.
Yeah,
you know, like what you were saying, Ellis, with like Rachel. Like, I think it would have been better if we didn't know she had that idol and they cut that. Mm-hmm. And then
maybe
in the
we see
final
her go to the challenge and we're like, did she do it or not? You know, and that's a looming question. That would be really
and then
cool.
At that tribal where, you know, everyone was like, Rachel's a threat, like publicly saying that, and it's like, okay, Rachel's going home. Boom, that idol play would have been so much more powerful.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
I remember done that before. Sorry, not just.
Oh, I think we were gonna say like really similar things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
They did one thing. It was a season or two ago where they did like a flash forward to tribal council where they like showed someone was like talking about the plan out loud and they were like, well, if we vote out like this person, and it showed that person's name being written down, and I remember thinking like that was really cool. I wish they did like outside of the box stuff like that. But I agree with Michael. I think that'd be cool if they like kept it like a I like being surprised by the tribals. I think that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, I think they did it in Micronesia Fans versus Favorites where to get an idol as the darkness consumes Nina.
As the darkness consumes Nina.
It's getting dark on the beach.
We'll start to wrap this up.
Dark day in Fiji.
They basically, to get an idol in that season, you had to find it on Exile Island, and they had this one person. They're like, they went to Exile Island, and they're like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it in time, and they kind of just didn't answer the question. And it ultimately didn't really affect the game. Did they do it twice, actually? I don't know. I think Survivor fans need to be more okay with not understanding. I think we need to understand the relations between people. Like, Nina, how you said, like, this season, it feels like you really understand people's, like, the connections people have formed, like, between each other, you know? But like game-wise, mechanic-wise, idols, advantages, we don't need to know everything. That could be something where you do a little like Severance mystery, like there's that overarching looming like what is happening.
Yeah, I guess I can agree with that.
Yeah. Well.
Well, final question for you, Nina. I know it's getting dark for you, and I don't want you to be stranded on the beach. Who do you think is going home next?
Who's left? Can I get like a list?
There's Mary, Mitch, Star, Camilla, Kyle, Eva, Joe, and Shaheen.
All right. Well, I'm not even gonna guess Shaheen because that's my last player, so I don't want to even like put that out into the universe. But I'll say
you and me.
I don't know. Like, if they were smart, not to like get on my high horse. If they were smart, they would vote out Eva or Joe. I don't think they're gonna do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, I don't think they're gonna do that. But if honestly, like, I think Camilla's in a bad spot. I think Camilla or Kyle's in a bad spot. Like, I love them. Camilla and Kyle are actually two of my favorite players this season. But yeah, I will say, like, she is way too smart and he is like killing it socially. And I think they're doing a little too good to where people are gonna pick up on it. So I know that's like two answers, but they're a team.
No, that's
so
great.
I think one of them is gonna.
Nina with the zag. I would not have saw that coming.
Those are the two people I think are safe. So I'm interested now.
All right. Well, with that, thank you, Nina, for hopping on the podcast.
I'm sorry my video got worse as the sun went down.
No, I think this is a good progression
as, like, my room, right?
We get to watch this. We get to watch the sunset in the Bahamas in real time. This is amazing. I've never seen a
Caribbean
Bahama
sunset.
Don't you mean Fiji, Michael? Nina's
sorry, I mean Fiji
on the
sunset.
set of season 49.
I forgot that Nina like snuck her computer in and headphones to like film.
Oh yeah, Nina's a contestant on season 49.
Yeah,
she's not like
literally
part of the crew.
No, she's a contestant.
This is Nina's confessional actually right now.
Yeah, this is Nina's whole confessional.
Yeah, I gotta go vote someone out now.
Yeah, I gotta go to tribal. No, but thank you so much, Nina, for being on, and thank you guys so much for watching. And let us know in the comments below, who do you think is gonna get out next? Whose game plan do you think is the best? What do you think about this season so far? We'd love to hear your thoughts. And thank you guys so much for watching.
All right, bye.
Bye.